Calls to strengthen and multiply action to minimize encroachment on Ramsar sites as the world celebrates Wetlands Day.
Mass COVID-19 vaccinations begin nationwide. 2.5 million jabs to be rolled out in 5 days.
Lands and Natural Resources Ministry supports Minerals Commission to provide effective supervision and regulation in the mining sector.
The narrative of centenarian Grandma Victoria Janwa on Mine Story.
And calm returns to Guinea-Bissau after failed coup attempt killing 6 people. This is News Hour on GTV and GBC News. My name is Jonathan Thompson.
And I am Samuel Akwote. Robert Frimpong translates the news into sign language. Now the news in detail. Today's World Wetlands Day, an environmentally related celebration to reaffirm the protection and love for wetlands and their significance. The Sakumono Ramsar site is the largest wetland of international importance in Ghana. But today, the site has been heavily encroached upon and has become a residential area with the erection of various types of buildings. Here is Atta regional correspondent Michael Dewonu with some more details from the site.
Awareness about the importance of wetlands to the environment. We are here at the Sakumono Ramsar site, one of the largest wetlands in Ghana of international importance. But the site, as I speak to you, is heavily encroached with different structures. It has now become a residential area, losing its wetlands of international importance. We are here joined by Friends of Ramsar, who is being engaging and fighting the cause of the Ramsar site.
Ghana is likely to be punished in the environmental circles because we have ascended to sign a treaty with the world, and the world holds this as very important treaty. That's why we are celebrating it today.
We want the Parliamentary Select Committee on this Ramsar. We were part of that. They should make the findings public so that we know what they've written in that document. And I know that when we carry that document, something good will happen here. We need to restore this place. It's very bad character. Our institutions are very weak.
A committee was set up, which I happen to chair. The report is ready, and we'll see if possible tomorrow that report will be presented to the minister as it falls on the World Ramsar Day. So, but then we'll have to warn people who are encroaching on those lands. Please, nobody whatsoever can grant you title to that place. If you give money to anybody that person is selling land to you there, please, you are doing so at your own risk. Because once it's a gazetted area, it is only the president that can gazette land in Ghana. So no one can tell you that I'll do that. So please, those who are building there, this is a warning to them. Yes, the report has made recommendations, and we would ensure that we will enforce the recommendations of the report to the letter.
The only part surviving is this coconut farm that the Friends of Ramsar have planted to protect the Ramsar site. For GBC News, my name is Michael Dewonu, reporting from Sakumono Ramsar.
The Apiati Supports Fund is seeking financial support towards the construction of the proposed green city in the collapsed town. The 5-member committee is tasked to raise sufficient funds to cover the proposed Apiati community project. Clara Mlano reports.
Massing up funds will go into the livelihood enhancement of the displaced and raising the flattened community back with another chance to continue living there. in a modern, environmentally friendly community. With seed money of 100,000 cedis from President Akufo-Addo, the committee says more funds are needed to meet their target. Donations can be made into 2 accounts: GCB Bank, account number 101130036123, and Stanbic Bank, account number 904000997497, or into a dollar account with the account number 90400099799780 for those in the diaspora. Also, the committee has created a website for daily updates on the committee's work, while donations can also be made through the site on all mobile networks.
And to do what most of us don't like, we are to come to you and ask for your money. And I pray that all of you will willingly give us your money to help our unfortunate brothers and sisters. I was just saying that we need a hashtag, and perhaps you in the media can help us with the hashtag. But what comes really readily to mind is Ubienchiebi, is to ensure that using the highest standards of integrity and transparency, we disperse these funds for the benefit of the community.
The chairman of the 5-member committee, Madam Joyce Ayer, said the team hopes to raise enough funds by the end of March 2022 for the next phase of the rebuilding to take off.
Let's rise above the cynicism. This is a real tragedy that has happened to real people. And when we go to their camps, we will see that really people have been displaced. Some are even still in hospital. When you pass by the town, you see the devastation. So we really need you to come along with us to get people to contribute towards this fund.
Mondays and Wednesdays are open for the public to make their donations in person. For GBC News, Clara Mlano reporting.
Now, at a presentation of equipment to the Minerals Commission, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapor, said concrete measures are being worked on to prevent a repetition of the recent Apiati incident. Wednesday's presentation is to adequately resource the regulatory agency, the Minerals Commission, to perform its duty of inspecting and monitoring roles more effectively, all towards sanitizing the mining sector. Clara Mlalo again reports.
Management of the Minerals Commission received 20 pickup vehicles, 10 blast monitors, 187 desktops, 68 laptops, 11 photocopiers, 19 printers, and 1 backup storage device. There were also 102 UPS machines, 5 scanners, 2 plotters, 3 projectors, and 3 survey equipment as part of the donation to the Commission. According to the Sector Minister, Mr. Samuel Jinapor, the Apiati incident, coupled with government's drive to sanitize the mining sector, has placed the sector under public scrutiny. In view of this, all must do the right thing for the desired results.
It is so for mining. And what happened in Apiati should tell us that if the explosion had happened in, say, Takwa or Bogoso, touch wood, perish the thought, only God knows what would have happened. And therefore, it brings your duty and your mandate and your work to the fore. And the centrality of your responsibility cannot be overemphasized. If one officer of the Minerals Commission sleeps on his or her job or looks away, we can all imagine the consequences of it.
The Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission, Mr. Martin Isi, thanked government for the swift intervention. For the board chairman of the Minerals Commission, Mrs. Barbara Otinjesi, the donation is timely and urged staff to put the logistics to good use. For GBC News, Clara Mlano reporting.
Away from issues of Apiati, on a visit to Yoko and the Registrar General's Department, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, says he is not impressed with the proceeds from crime the Economic and Organized Crime Office has been able to recover in recent years. The AG believes Yoko has a greater capacity to recover far more sustained proceeds of crime for the state. He said his ministry is in discussion with the Ministry of Finance to boost Yoko's financial capacity for asset recovery. Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame interacted with the two agencies under the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General Department to acquaint himself with their operations and get to know their challenges.
At the Registrar General's Department, the Registrar General, Mrs. Jemima Owari, briefed the Attorney General on the department's activities. She said over 2,788 companies never filed their annual returns or registered their companies.
For the businesses, we have the different types, of course, business names, sole proprietorships, partnerships, subsidiary business names. We have industrial property rights, which is being headed by Grace, industrial property rights, trademarks, patents, geographical indications. That's a bit. Then marriages is only special licenses that we register over here. The rest are done by the courts.
Mrs. Owari, highlighting the numerous achievements of her outfit over the years, said although the Registrar General's Department has been able to meet some of its targets, it faces constraints due to the lack of financing. Responding, the Attorney General, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, said the introduction of the New Companies Act 992 has brought to the fore the important role of the Registrar General's Department.
This year, the Finance Minister and myself have resolved that there must be prosecution of big tax offenders, because the state's effort at undertaking all this developmental effort, 1D, 1F, and what have you, 100 district, 110 district hospitals and all, will come to naught if there is the failure to amass as much tax as possible or to mobilize as much tax as possible for the state. And that means widening the tax net. In order to widen the tax net, we ought to ensure that all those who are supposed to pay tax pay.
Mr. Yeboah-Dame and his team were also at the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, where the new Executive Director, COP Mrs. Mami Tiwa Adodankwa, said her office has concluded investigations into 12 cases of financial crimes against the state and are ready to prosecute.
It is about time to lay the foundation for realistic transformation for this important office to deliver on its central mandate. Yoko, in addition to this primary object, this office, under your authority, it is tasked, among other things, to prosecute serious offenses that involve financial and economic loss to the Republic.
The AG, while commending Yoko on breakthrough crimes, which has led to the detection of complex crimes, appreciated challenges facing Yoko, especially in the area of their working conditions. The minister toured a new fit-for-purpose prison cell, which is in accordance with international standards for the prison service. Mr. Yeboah-Dame said his ministry has acquired about 90 vehicles for distribution to the ministry and its agencies. He promised 2 of those vehicles to the Registrar General and 12 to EOCO.
The Upper West Regional Caucus in Parliament has raised concerns about the disclosure of security details of the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Bagbin. At a news briefing in Parliament, the leader of the caucus, Dr. Alhaji Rashid Pelpo, said the Speaker, just like the heads of any of the other arms of government, must be given maximum security and protection. He called on the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces and the Military High Command to ensure the reinstatement of the military officers who were recently withdrawn from the Speaker.
A military team, which was part of the military security details of the Speaker, was withdrawn. And despite all the complaints, government has said nothing about it. The lack of sufficient response by the government to the present situation is generating worry and compelling this briefing. We seek, therefore, to urge the government to give adequate response to the worrying situation by the myriads of the public, to satisfy the complete security needs of the Speaker, if even it will require the reinstatement of the military team that had been withdrawn unilaterally by government.
Former President John Dramani Mahama has called on the citizenry to stay united and uphold tolerance in reverence to the ideals and legacies of the late President John Evans Atta Mills. At an event to mark the 10th anniversary of the passing of the late Professor Mills and a memorial heritage, Mr. John Mahama said the nation must endeavor to stay in unity and truth in the face of adversity.
Such figures in billions, and I want to remind you that I didn't even know how to translate them into OPPPP.
The John Evans Atta Mills Memorial Heritage is a non-profit, non-partisan organization which seeks to preserve and build on the legacies of the late President John Evans Atta Mills. It was established by a group of academics, professional colleagues, students, family and appointees of President Mills. The late J.E.A. Mills, the third president of the Fourth Republic, served as president from January 8, 2009 to July 24, 2012. The chairman of the JEA Heritage Board, Mr. Alex Segbefia, said the organization will deepen the legacy of President Mills's excellence in law, taxation and sports.
The highlight of the lecture will be a major lecture to commemorate the 10th anniversary of his death in July, the month in which he died. The activities will also include infrastructure projects, sporting activities, academic scholarships, especially in the areas of law and taxation, will also be arranged.
Speaker after speaker eulogized the late Professor Mills's passion and commitment to inclusivity, transparency, accountability, and his relentless quest for peace and a better society. Former President John Dramani Mahama was happy about the establishment of the JEA Heritage, saying that the organization would build on Professor Mills's legacies.
Prof detested comrades undermining each other. He had a practice of detaining the person who had come to make a negative report about a colleague to him. He detained you in his office. He quickly had the colleague about whom the report had been made brought to his office quickly. He then asked the one who had made the report to repeat what he had just told him. And in Ghanaian parlance, we say, come and see stammering. Nana Chairman, my brothers and sisters, these and many more recollections of this inspirational son of the land are the reasons Prof was and still loved by so many.
The organization would also engage in charity work and build the President's J.E.A. Mills brand as a model servant leader who invested in his people.
Listen to my voice. Do I look and sound like a cat hunter?
Speaking on GTV Breakfast, the chairman of the John Evans Atta Mills Memorial Heritage, Mr. Alex Segbefia, noted that the memorial heritage has no direct link with the John Evans Atta Mills Library in Cape Coast. He however welcomed any partnership with government for both institutions to work together.
Just felt after the 9th anniversary, a group of people just felt we were doing annual lectures, and we felt that that was not enough. We are actually the 4th organization to come out. Heritage is the 4th. And so others are trying to do something with regard to Prof, and we commend all of them. But we felt that there was still other things that could be done. And that is how, after the 9th anniversary, we decided, look, let's sit down, think about it, see how we could put together an organization, and that led to the birth of the John Evans Atta Mills Memorial Heritage. Political space and jostling amongst us, both internally and externally, is a problem, and it has gotten worse. That is why Kwame Penny's statement yesterday was profound. You had to have something. Professor Mills says, come, sit beside me. Let's talk. Everybody knew Kwame Penny is MPP. He himself said, I'm MPP. Everybody knows. But the president didn't deal with him as a person and what he had to offer. Not. And in hard political balance, it's unacceptable.
She worked hard for many years with no pension for her years of service. That is part of the story of Grandma Victoria Janwa, a centenarian who worked as a cook at the Cocoa Research Center for about 35 years. She was laid off at a point and had to make ends meet due to ill health and the complexities of life. Grandma Janwa has no biological children. Even at her ripe age, life struggles are still clear and present, but she must find a way to survive. GBC News spent time with Grandma Victoria Janwa at Bunso in the Eastern region as part of our February My Story series.
Grandma Victoria finds it difficult to tidy up for obvious reasons. She has a few things to give her nostalgic memories of her active years. Grandma Victoria sleeps on a student's mattress in a chair. She has done so for many years. She says life has treated her unfairly from her childhood to her old age. Her education ended in Form 4, or what was then known as Standard 7, due to financial constraints. On 11th October 1960, she was employed at the Cocoa Research Center at Bonso and worked for 35 years.
I am the first woman employed here. I worked for 35 years without my pension benefit.
But after 35 years of working life, she never earned a peswa from pension.
Slate workers came for my thumbprint. Later, I was told someone had gone for the money.
The fourth child among 6 siblings, Grandma Victoria has regularly traded on a tabletop at Linda Door restaurant at Bonso for the past 18 years. She says she had a medical complication in her youth and has not been able to bear a child. Even though Grandma Victoria never had a child of her own, she took care of her siblings' children as well as other people's children. Sadly, most of them have forgotten her. She says since she had no help, she was motivated to work very hard growing up. She says through her proceeds, she was able to put up a house with the little she earned. Throughout her life's journey, she encountered many hurdles, but has survived all these years with the help of others.
I don't get help, so I have to make ends meet myself. She says through it all, her faith keeps her going. She feels worn down by life and sometimes regrets being her neighbor's keeper since she has been abandoned at a time she needs help most. What I regret doing in my life is to take care of people's children. She advises the youth to avoid living like the Joneses, which could lead to high-risk lifestyles, such as becoming obsessed with materialism, sometimes illegally, to obtain wealth. She says life has not treated her fairly. She is always in pain since she has been abandoned by her family. Over 100 years old, and Grandma Victoria is very weak and needs help. I am pleading with the general public to help me. Some of the workers at Lindador restaurant described her as a role model. The minister in charge of the Peace Congregation of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana at Bonso, Reverend Mrs. Lydia Alija, said, Grandma is one of the pioneers of the church and a motivator as well. Grandma Victoria is the only one left in her family. Her parents and siblings have passed on. Grandma encourages all in a similar situation to keep on keeping on. She says, we don't know how strong we are till we are forced to bring out that hidden strength. Survival, she says, is her only hope and believes what is meant for them will never miss them. Grandma still looks forward to enjoying her pension benefits before she meets her maker.
The Tema Metropolitan Assembly sanitation agencies and other stakeholders have gone through the Tema Metropolis educating people on the Operation Clean Your Frontage campaign. The campaign, which took off in Accra on Tuesday, is meant to enforce sanitation bylaws and ensure that our environment is spick and span.
Last year, the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council launched the Operation Clean Your Frontage initiative for the Greater Accra region. It intends to deploy over 3,500 people to help put existing sanitation bylaws into effect. The Regional Coordinating Council seeks to make it obligatory for all individuals and corporate organizations to be involved in the cleaning and greening of their immediate surroundings. The campaign will, among other things, encourage the greening of the city. The necessary bylaws have been passed and gazetted by the 29 assemblies in the Greater Accra region. The team went through the principal streets in the Tema Metropolis with educational materials on the campaign. The Metropolitan Chief Executive, Mr. Johannes Ama Ashite, said the assembly would make sure the task force is well resourced to do its work effectively.
They are undergoing training now, and when they are through, they will come back and join us. And for them, their task is to ensure that the work goes on there. You see, we are going to have a call center where people will make complaints. And when the complaints do come, it will go to these task force guys, and they will come and ensure that the job goes on well and it goes on smoothly.
The Operation Clean Your Frontage initiative is part of efforts by the government to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa.
Still on that, the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council has begun the Operation Clean Your Frontage project to create awareness on the return of Town Council, or Sama. A senior lecturer from the Institute of Local Government, Dr. Stephen Omari, says Town Council is an existing practice that only needs enforcement. He was speaking on GBC News Current Affairs program, Focus.
At times people want to see the leader there, but there are times when we don't need the leader, we should be able to act. And it brings a lot of benefits to us if we are able to do that. So the bylaws are there. In fact, we have fantastic bylaws.
We have fantastic, beautiful sanitation laws.
So the problem is the enforcement. And the enforcement got to do with also interference from political actors. I had some students who are dehos and mehos, they will tell you that at times you go to a house, there's a problem over there, and then you send everything to the office for the person to be prosecuted, and then some political actors will come in and intervene, and everybody runs to these politicians for this thing. But we as a people, we need to be able to divorce ourselves from this political interference. The politicians should avoid doing that so that the MMDAs can do their work. We had opportunity as a country to be able to bring about a change when there was opportunity to do the what we call electing MMDCs, MMDCs, and we failed that one. Because if you are elected by the people and you are not depending on political party A, B, C, D, and they are actors, you'll be able to do your...
You're watching News Hour on GTV and GBC News. We'll be right back.
This segment is brought to you by MTN and Whirlpool. Good evening and welcome. I am Dorothy Ajamari. A visit by the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, to the National Service Scheme Secretariat in Accra has revealed that at least 112 million cedis has been saved from 14,027 potential fraudsters on the scheme. The NSS Secretariat attributes the feat to the introduction of digital technology in its operations in the last couple of years.
On Monday, January 31, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia went on an unannounced visit to the NSS Secretariat in Accra to monitor their operations so far. The Executive Director of the National Service Scheme, Mr. Oseye Sibientri, who gave a briefing of the day-to-day operations to the Vice President Dr. Bawumia, disclosed that the entire process of enrolling onto the National Service Platform has been digitized, making it easier and more user-friendly. He also spoke about the introduction of new modules based on the specializations of the students, such as building technology, agriculture and accounting, and the fostering of relationships with relevant institutions. Mr. Sibientri said the introduction of the Metric app, which combines facial recognition technology and identity card checks for verification and validation, and has so far blocked the enrollment of 14,027 potential fraudsters onto the scheme, which has saved the nation a huge sum of money. Vice President Dr. Bawumia said the country will be better off if the entire public sector employs digitalization and technology in their operations and services. He also noted that the benefits of digitalization designed to formalize the economy and fight corruption are evident for all. In a related development, management of the NSS Secretariat disclosed that personnel with a background in information and communication technology are receiving training in 24 locations across the country on developing and growing a business in the ICT sector. This is to harness the potential of information technology in the economy.
To the Western region. Did you know government's proposed electronic transaction levy, Elevy bill, will not cover a cumulative transfer of 100 cedis per day made by the same person? This came up when the Minister for Finance, Mr. Atta, interacted with Ghanaians at a town hall meeting in the Western Regional Capital, Sekondi Takoradi. Sekondi Takoradi was the stopover for the government town hall meetings on the e-levy on Wednesday, 2nd February 2022. Among the high-powered government delegation were the Finance Minister, Mr. Atta, Information Minister, Mr. Kojopo Nkrumah, and his deputy, Fatimatu Abubakar. Speaker after speaker explained that transfers for payment of taxes, fees and charges on the Ghana.gov platform will be exempted from the e-levy.
Obviously, tax being fair. Se sani ebeka na nkebeka se tax bi ani ho efe. Ana de me na maye medjuma. E na bosumi aso na yetu ameka. Ade na wo se etiska ne bi koma aban. Me na me koto me petrol egu me car mu. Me ameka me koto petrol egu. Ade na wo se aban de to kakra to so na aban adi so de kwa koye kwan ho adwuma. Me na me koto ade wo store. Ade na bind the value added tax up to so OGB. Kebeka se ni na enye fair. Sa aso na tie se me na me transfer me sika na bind say the amedema MTN onfen ko ni krom. Vodafone say onfen ko ni krom no. Aban say ye man kakra no onfen ye kwan ya e wa he. Ye betumi ehunu se da bi enye fair ntie mpese etua na ya tena ba bi ete na. Ye betumi so ehunu se ye nyina ye keka ensa ase.
According to the ministers, the e-levy is one of the initiatives to be deployed by governments to mobilize domestic resources and bolster economic development. Mr. Atta stated that much accountability will be made on the expenditure of proceeds from the e-levy in order to ensure inclusiveness.
The other beauty of the e-levy tax is that it makes all of us responsible for protecting the public purse, and that is important because once you pay taxes, you have the moral authority to be able to require, certain performances from the political elite.
The minister noted that the e-levy is the surest way of putting the country back on the path of trajectory of inclusive growth, and if goes as expected, government hopes to invest 40 billion cedis each in education and healthcare, and an additional 80 billion cedis in other flagship programs earmarked within the next 3 years. Back here in Accra, management of the Ghana Airport Company has suspended the operation of the private jet terminal at the Caucus International Airport by Magdan Aviation. The suspension of the terminal follows what GACL describes as failure on the part of Magdan Aviation to comply with directives concerning security and financial obligation to the Ghana Airport Company. A statement issued by the Ghana Airport Company on January 24, 2022 indicated that though Magdan Aviation has met all operational requirements, it was yet to fulfill its financial obligations to Ghana Airports Company. This forms part of the requirement to convert Terminal 1 of the Caucus International Airport into a private jet terminal. A total of $4.5 million and 227,000 Ghana cedis, respectively, were the amount Magdan was expected to pay to the Ghana Airports Company. Also, as part of negotiating a payment plan, Magdan paid 1 million Ghana cedis on January 19, 2022, but is still yet to agree on a fixed-based operator license fee with GACL. Aside from the outstanding financial commitment, GACL on January 28 wrote to Magdan Aviation to postpone the inauguration of the private jet launch for various security breaches, but the company went ahead to inaugurate the private jet terminal on Friday, January 28, 2022. The private jet terminal is expected to facilitate the in- and outbound travel of high-end clients who visit Ghana for business, with top-notch flooring, finishing, small private meeting rooms, a spacious conference room, and world-class IT solutions for business on offer. The Magdan Group has also acquired 3 private jets to be managed by Magdan Aviation to meet the needs of the markets in the sub-region. The idea of a private jet terminal is to target all business players that want to catch up with a short business in the country or catch a flight within some short possible time. "29 African countries are expected to begin physical trading in goods under the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, following the approval of the agreed criteria for the 88% tradable products by the African Union. This results from the verification of the tariff schedules of these countries by the Council of Ministers responsible for trade under the AFCFTA. The 44 countries that have submitted their tariff schedules, only 29 have been verified, meaning only 29 countries can trade if the criteria is to be adopted by the Assembly. A meeting by the heads of state at the African Union AU Assembly in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, is expected to take place. The approval of the agreed criteria by the AU Assembly will see the agreement become the basis to commercially start meaningful trade under the AfCFTA. On January 2, 2022, the Council for Ministers agreed on a criterion to determine the origin of 88% of all goods on the tariff books across the African continent. Technically known as the rules of origin, it is the level of value addition to raw materials and semi-finished products that can be accepted as locally produced. At the 8th meeting of the Council of Ministers of the AfCFTA, the chairperson, Mr. Ibrahim Patel, said the Council agreed on other matters, including a process to bid down the completion of negotiations on trade and services under the AfCFTA agreement. The meeting adopted modalities on dispute settlement processes, such as day-to-day challenges that come up in trade relationships among countries and companies. The Secretary General, AfCFTA Secretariat, Mr. Wamkeli Mene, says negotiations on the trading of services were at an advanced stage of completion and 46 member states have submitted their schedules of specific commitments. He said the Council had directed that the negotiations be concluded by June 30, 2022. Let's have the interbank rates and some commodity prices.
Hello, good evening. This is the Energy segment. My name is Mabel Anang. Energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Sulemana says he is worried over oil prices crossing the $90 per barrel mark on the international market. He describes this as unprecedented in recent times and attributes the situation to the rise in political tension between Russia and Ukraine and the Omicron variant. Dr. Sulemana believes that a growing decline in the spare capacity of OPEC and OPEC Plus group of nations is a matter of great concern among industry players.
Again, I've crossed the all-time $90 mark. That is unprecedented. The last time we saw this was almost like a decade ago. I mean, more than a decade ago, I will say. So that is unprecedented. And yes, so this is not coming as a surprise because this has always been the expectation. The unfortunate thing is that there might not be any end in sight immediately to this bullish trajectory. The factors that are holding this price or keeping this price in this trajectory are still arrived and they are still in place. It will have taken an unprecedented bearish moment or bearish sentiment to bring down the oil price. And one of the bearish sentiment that analysts would have been expecting or had expected would have been maybe the outbreak of a variant. Omicron came and Omicron is struggling to make an impact, to dent demand in oil price. Even though we are told cases are going up every year and there, but the growing confidence in people's ability or countries or nations' ability to handle this particular variant, and then the fact that it is not tending to be that fatal in terms of hospitalization and the rest. So until now, we haven't seen that much of drastic impact that was anticipated.
The Tama region of the Electricity Company of Ghana has invested 3.26 million cedis on 7 major system improvement works from July to December 2021. The system improvement projects in the region forms part of a grand corporate plan of ensuring reliable power supply and delivery of safe and quality electricity services to customers.
The projects, each of which costs about 200,000 cedis, include system injections and replacement of obsolete equipment. Out of the 7 major projects, 3 of them covered the replacement of cables within the Tema metropolis at an approximate 2 million cedis, while the rest of the funding was allocated to system injections. This stems from the need to add more transformers to the power system or network to improve the quality of supply. Speaking to GBC News, the General Manager for the region, Mr. Emmanuel Akini, an engineer, said ECG is diligently working towards its mandate and that such system improvement works are needed to ensure the integrity of the system and to extend supply to new customers.
Underground cables that were obsolete and undersized and were giving us a lot of challenges in terms of they were prone to a lot of faults. They were weak and we needed to replace most of them entirely in order to ensure that the system is quite stable. The second batch has to do with transformer injections that we carried out to improve the reliability of the system within the metropolis. About 3 million cities. We cannot predict what will happen in the future, but whatever it is, even if there will be any challenges, because of the work we've done, it's going to minimize those challenges. As and when there are challenges, we are there 24/7 to ensure that we bring them back to normalcy.
By Lufat to Bingo's premium gift to Africa. The Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service has kick-started the nationwide COVID-19 campaign targeted at vaccinating 2.5 million people from Wednesday, February 2 to Sunday, February 6, 2022. Our news team visited some of the various vaccination centers in Accra.
Health declared Wednesday, February 2 to Sunday, February 6 as National COVID-19 Vaccination Days, intended to help achieve herd immunity. By 10 a.m., some people had already taken their jab and were heading home, while others were on their way to the centers for their shots. While some were going for their second dose, others were first-timers. The Ayawasu Municipal Health Director, Mrs. Marian Amponsa Achiano, told GBC News that they hoped that the ongoing education would encourage majority of the people to get vaccinated. The Greater Accra Deputy Director for Clinical Care, Dr. Salamatu Atta Nantungma, urged stakeholders to support the campaign to encourage people to get immunized.
The mobilization is still being done, today being the first day. There are some of the centers that have been a little bit quiet, but centers like this, as you can see, the outflow has been quite a bit large. We want to say that for this campaign, we are encouraging everybody and all our stakeholders to actively take part in making sure that we mobilize our communities to take part in the vaccination.
Some of those who had taken the jab encouraged others to also get vaccinated.
I encourage those who haven't taken their jabs to do so because the vaccine is safe. It's a good idea they have brought the vaccine to our doorsteps.
The first day campaign has the target of administering 2.5 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccines.
Now, the World Health Organization has said a sub-variant of Omicron, BA2, has now been detected in 57 countries UN Health Agency says initial data shows BA2 is a little more infectious than earlier versions of Omicron. It adds that there is no evidence to suggest BA2 is more severe than the original Omicron variant, and vaccines appear to be just as effective against it.
In its weekly epidemiological update, the United Nations Health Agency noted on Tuesday that in some countries, the subvariant now accounts for more than half of all sequenced Omicron cases. It said little was known yet about the differences between the subvariants, but several studies have suggested that BA2, also known as the stealth variant, was more infectious than the original sublineage. The highly transmissible Omicron is generally known to cause less severe disease than previous variants such as Delta. The WHO said Omicron, which accounts for more than 93% of all coronavirus specimens collected in the past month, has several sublineages: BA1, BA1.1, BA2, and BA3. The first versions, identified as BA1 and BA11, still accounts for more than 96% of all Omicron cases submitted to GISAID, it added, referring to the public virus tracking database. However, the agency pointed out in parts of Europe and Asia, BA2 has started to spread faster than BA1.
So for the health segment brought to you by Lufat, Tobingo's premium gift to Africa. International news is next. Please stay.